again, ladies and gentlemen. It's going on. Let me know if I have an echo. I think I fixed it. I might not have. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. That intro seems to get longer every time I try it. Anyway, today is a new month. It's February 1st, 2024. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking here in the digital media world. So glad to be doing what, ladies and gentlemen? Hosting another episode of DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. Got my co-host Pedro Garcia in the house. Pedro, what's happening?
What is happening? I even got a reverb on me.
You've got a reverb?
All right. No, not reverb. It's echoing, so I can hear myself. Something's.
All right, just stick with it.
Oh no, I got it. I know what it was.
You had two things.
All right. Yes, I did. All right. So here's the thing. Actually, just realized your echo went away. So check that out.
Yeah, and I was
heard
feed the great sound effects machine. I messed with it yesterday and forgot to unmess with it, and so today. You know what's not good? Let me tell you what's not good. The sound effects machine, I've never really introduced to you, but it does voice changing and all this kind of stuff, is having some whiskey and introducing the wife to the sound effects machine. All of a sudden, everyone thinks they're Christina Aguilera, or for that matter, Celine Dion. Anyway, welcome to everyone on the good morning, everybody. How's it going? Let's see here. We got Canada, Crypto Mike in the house. We got Chuck Jansen in the house, ladies and gentlemen.
Doctor.
Using the whole fist doc?
Yes, Drano, Mr. Mainnet Z family still have no. I was thinking about this the other day. Drano, what would be good? I was like, what, a toilet bowl flush or something? I don't know. I got to come up with something better than that. Anyway, Crypto Mike says, "Hey D, to the Mainnet Z, getting closer to that launch, isn't it? February 14th or something like that. We'd love to learn more about that, Drano. If things are still progressing correctly. Pitmonk has been absent the past few days, and we better send someone to check on his house because he's a regular. Mr. Lawton, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it all the way from Madrid. One of your workmates has joined us on LinkedIn, watching there occasionally. That's very, very, very good thing. Get that engagement up over there too. But come on over here for the engagement, and frankly, once LinkedIn monetizes things, more people will go over there. But not yet. Crypto Mike says you're good. Thanks for make sure my sound was good. And of course, Kaching checks in the house. Kaching. Good morning, Derek. I gotta switch. I like Kaching, but I'm gonna have to switch that to a guitar riff since both of your icons are a guitar. Anyway, it's February 1st. Topic of the show before we get to Pedro. Oh wait, hold on a sec. Drano says Drano is a name given to me back in my basketball playing days. I'm able to hit shots with ease from any spot on the half court. Drained it. Drano, yeah, I get it. Let me tell you about my storied career in basketball. Okay, that's it.
Really? I was like, really?
I have what you call white man's disease. I cannot jump. It just the jumping just doesn't work. Anyway, we'll get to the fun later. I don't know if a while ago many of you remember me talking about BRICS, and I did a short video about BRICS. Two videos, as a matter of fact. One about whether it's going to work or not. BRICS? Nope. That's what I said here. Here. No, it's not going to work. It's not going to work, and I gave you 4 reasons why and a bonus. It had to do with corruption, legitimacy, insurance, all these types of things why it can't work. And I was like, can't work, and then I did another video about gold and whether they would go on the gold standard or anything like that, and I said, that can't work either. Just because there's just not enough gold in the world, and everyone would be mining their own yards. Earth would turn into a wasteland. Anyway, I bring this up because the news cycle has caught us again. Saudi Arabia officially joined BRICS. They were officially invited to join, and the BRICS group actually created a real organization. I think their membership fee they had to pay a token amount of membership fees to it, and ironically they used US dollars. Nice, huh? But anyway,
That is funny.
I know, and I think it was a token amount, like everyone had to put in $1 or something like that as the official joining or something like that. But it was pretty clear. Maybe that might be internet lore or just poor writing and bad editing. I don't know. But it's a great story. Anyway, so we're going to talk about that later in the show. But first we're going to get to Pedro Garcia with Bitcoin and telling us what the hell is going on with Bitcoin. I should say, what the hell is not going on Bitcoin? All of a sudden, we had the FOMC thing the other day. It dropped a little because the news wasn't so great. Actually, the news was fine. It just wasn't as good as we had hoped.
Well, he was hawkish. So he just basically said, I'm not dropping the rates.
Right.
And somebody asked, well, is that indefinite or is that until March? And he's just like, we'll get back to you.
Right.
So he was very hawkish. I mean, I thought he would at least be somewhat dovish, but not, kind of hint. He just straight up said, just, hey, no, we're not going to drop it, just so you know. And I was kind of shocked by it, just simply because I was expecting him to raise it or to stay where they're at. But he's just, it's kind of, like I said, it was a really interesting FOMC. What were your thoughts about it and with him?
Well, I personally, everyone, like you're saying, it's hawkish. The internet was disappointed. BTC went down. All this kind of stuff. I can't remember the right word. Wishy-washy. I'll just use wishy-washy. Nothing bad happened. Nothing bad happened at all. What they wanted him to say was, everything's great, inflation's down, so we're just going to lower rates and all this type of stuff. And then everyone would be like, hey, whatever. And all he said was, well, we're not going to lower rates. And when we do, we'll let you know. And then the internet punished Bitcoin and other investments for it and things like that. And for me, personally, I'm like, that's fine. They didn't even used to have these meetings. They just did it.
I was gonna say.
They just did it. They're just like, oh, and it wasn't even on a schedule either. It was just, it's just like, okay, rates are going up, and the market reacted. And now, because they want to get more, I don't know why, when they just did it, they didn't get any media attention until after the fact. There's no market, the market always anticipated what was going on, and it didn't do it on a cycle. Now it does it on a cycle, and when it doesn't exactly match with what the wonks in the back room are typing around on their giant spreadsheets, everybody gets punished. And it didn't used to be.
Then is be able to put in their positions and be able to trade it. Every time you have these announcements, like it just recently, I mean, since 2008, excuse me, where you literally had, like, why am I forgetting? Fed chairs weren't famous.
No.
Like, you didn't know who they are. Like, nobody would know who Bernanke was. Like, who? You mean that old guy who wears glasses? Like, oh, he's a dork. He's a numbers cruncher. I mean, really, compared to the traders, right? Like, you would have these all-star traders and these huge people that you're just like, wow, these guys are amazing. Like, I'm saying this because now, like, these guys are bigger than, like, the president. I mean, the amount of people.
Well, these guys can still speak eloquently, so the president's not capable of that. Come on, you opened that door, and I was gonna walk right through it.
But what's interesting though is that we're seeing just a whole entire new, like, celebrity system that you're just like, how did this happen? And it's all happened pretty much since 2008, right? Like, because prior to 2008, I don't ever remember seeing anything, and then so, I say this because when it comes down to it, ultimately, like, I think this is a Fed thing, and I think that will die off within another 10 years. I don't think we're really going to stay here. I mean, how is it that this is so big? And this is what I'm trying to say, is who's making it this big?
The U.S. government's making it big. You know why? Because of my standard argument with everything about mission creep. And everyone says, well, that agency's doing a press release, and then people getting all famous, so we're going to do one now. at least the Fed has real information. Like the Homeland Security has press releases and things like that all the time. Nobody cares, except when they address the immigration claims. And in fact, the Department of Energy had one yesterday. Nobody paid attention to it, and it was about Bitcoin. And so, but the Fed, everyone tunes in. I got to tell you, if I was the guy at the Fed, this is what I would do. I'd be up there like saying, all right, well, we're going to lower rates. Raise rates. Because all the guys with the programming trade, they're like, ready? And they're like,
Yeah.
I'm going to lower. Oh, my glasses are wrong. Raise rates. Or, or something like that. Just keep them on edge. And like, fuck. Damn it. I would mess with them incessantly. They might be market manipulation, but you can blame it on the bifocals of those guys, right? Like, oh, well, didn't see that right. Yeah.
That's funny, dude. That's actually real funny. I would love it, dude. We could actually, dude. If me and you could just run the Fed, it would just, dude, it would just work out perfect, right? We would.
What happened to de-dollarization? How'd that happen so fast? Well, Tom and Pedro went at it.
Yeah,
they printed up a whole bunch of money. They bought they bought a whole bunch of bonds from the Treasury, sold them on the black market, got some cash for them, and bought a G5.
G5. We bought a whole entire fleet of G5.
All right, what's going on with BTC here?
That's a good thing. All right, so BTC. This is, you can see on the inner. I actually didn't look at it for a couple hours, and a nice little bounce off of this area here. You can see here we saw the sell off from yesterday. We found support on that 20-period moving average sitting right here. On a side note, it actually held. I was actually kind of impressed. I thought we were going to see a sell off here and continue down.
Right, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, I did. I really did. We have supply. Still doesn't mean we're still kind of consolidating in between that 44,000 area to the 41,000 area. So you can see we're kind of going here. So we'll see what happens if we break out. My biggest concern is that if we do break out here with this amount of volume, right? Like look, right, comparative to over here or over here. Like it's not a lot. Even though we break out, we'll come back and retest this later on, and I think a lot of people will get hurt from that aspect. So, that's really what I see. What's actually happening, but you know what? If they do keep pushing it up, this could be the start. Like legitly start of the real bull rally, right? It's just right now they're trying to fill in their orders. I doubt that, but I just, Bitcoin is not doing what it most likely should do. But on a side note,
it should just go up. Number go up. Oh,
yeah.
I am a seasoned investor. Number go up.
Yes. So on the backside behind that, when you look at like the longs did step in. We did see some people coming in buy Bitcoin on the spot market, which is another good thing.
Alicia from Madrid, I bet you're coming to us from Madrid. Thank you very much for joining in with your cohort, Mr. Lawton. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Mr. Lawton.
They're both from Madrid.
Nice. So on the back end of this, though, we're seeing buyers stepping in, and let me show the shorts here because the shorts are being liquidated. They're getting
Alicia, or I guess I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. Alicia depends on where in the world you live, how that's pronounced. But sunny Madrid, that's no fair. Where I am, out of the past 60 days, probably 3 have had sun. It's been miserable. And I moved cities too. I moved from Chicago to Ottawa, and the gray followed me. I'm like the Charlie Brown character Pigpen, or just the thing follows him everywhere he goes. The gray cloud.
Ouch. But here's the thing about you, Tom. Even though it may follow you, it doesn't bother you. You still stay the chipper old self that I know you to be.
I'm gonna be chipper because you see me in my my striking chair here, and my my ergonomics aren't right on this desk. And so I think I've mentioned this the other day, but I bought one of those rising and lowering desks, stand-up desks. And it's, of course, it's super China. I got it on the Best Buy marketplace, which is all super cheapo brands. But it's on the way. It got flown in from China to Vancouver, and is currently being trucked. And I'm bringing this up for two reasons. One, because you'll see me different next week. But two, because of... where is it? Crypto Mike, my desk is in Riverdale, Manitoba, which I believe is just west of where you are. That's where it last scanned on the FedEx truck during the evenings. It's probably already left. It probably went right by your house, my desk. Yeah, that's a side note of the day. But that'll keep me chipper, because right now after sitting here, I program the show, I talk with Pedro, then I sit here and do all kinds of other work to try and earn some money. And I've got the wrong ergonomics. My shoulders hurt. Today I took a leave for the first time, I think, since I broke my shoulder 5 years ago.
Ooh, that can hurt. It can be very painful. I've broken my shoulder when I was a kid, so I know that feeling of
I did it skiing with my son 5 years ago. That's what I haven't skied much in the past. Well, since my son was born. As soon as you have kids, you can't afford to do anything else. So I haven't owned skis, so I've been renting skis anytime I would go. And you rent crap. You just get, unless you have a ski shop in town that rents demo equipment that's actually good stuff. The stuff you get at ski is just crap. And of course, they didn't set it up right. And I was going fast, and the ski clicked off. Oops. Next thing you know, Tommy Boy was doing the full-on yard sale. Eddie, your aunt's falling down the stairs. If you know that line, you're an OG like me and Pedro.
That's awesome.
And I went to get up, and went to first thing that happens is my son comes up to me and goes, "Oh my God, Dad, you're alive." I'm like, you never want to hear your son say that, right? You're alive? I'm like, of course I'm alive. He said, from that fall, I thought you were dead. I was like, oh. Anyway, my shit was all over the ski hill, all the way back up to the top where I fell. And I went to get up, and my arm didn't work. And I was like, oh, this is not good. And I was wearing my ski helmet, and apparently during the yard sale, my ski crossed over my head like that and ruined my helmet. The helmet did its job. And then, if you guys recall, the other day, a couple Fridays ago, I said, hey, I'm taking the day off and going skiing. It was the first time since then, and all went well. Because the kids are coming up to Canada soon to go skiing, and I had to practice. Plus, I like it.
It is fun. I do have to admit. Skiing. Oh, actually, I'm a snowboarder, so.
Whatever. However you get down the hill, you get out and you be free, you go fast. Although, these snowboarders drive me absolutely crazy, though. Just always taking that damn thing off and walking, and here we are in skis going, see ya, bye, do.
That's funny.
And good snowboarders are fine that know how to carve turns, but the kids that just slide down the hill, especially when it's the beginning of the year and the snow isn't great, and they just push all the loose snow off to the side, you just want to go up and beat them with their snowboard.
The skill set, mate. Some of these it's just you're amazed. Like,
yeah, you got to get back at it. I got back at it, and I ski over here in Gatineau, in Quebec, and the hills aren't very big. It's not, I used to go out in the back bowls of Vail and Crested Butte and that type of stuff. I'm not doing that anymore. First of all, I can't afford to go out there and do that. It's so expensive now. And in Gatineau, they don't have those type of things. Even in Mount Tremblant, which is a nice resort, it's nothing really that hard. Oh, so we got right off to the side stories right at the beginning today. It's like it's a Friday or something.
Well, it is our Friday, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah, speaking of, we're not going to be on the air tomorrow. Pedro's got a thing. And Monday, we're not going to be either. I've got a thing. I'm hosting. I shouldn't say I'm hosting. I'm going to an event that Mrs. Striking is running, hosting the Premier of Alberta. The Premier of the Honorable Daniel Smith. She's coming to Ottawa. To give him hell here. And Mrs. Striking's client is as they say, a nonpartisan organization that hosts politicians and all sites of business leaders to give policy speeches. And so we're going to be doing that on Monday. Should be very interesting. It's quite the big deal. She met with Tucker Carlson the other day, and so they people were on fire here. They were like, "Oh my God, he's evil, Hitler," and all this kind of stuff.
What was he like? Well, I mean, is he more chill, or is he like very business-like? What's he?
I haven't listened to Tucker since since he was on Fox.
Like, as a person though, like him, I don't think him more. I would assume more chill.
You know, I got to guess every one of those fire breathers on the air, and I'll just call them liars in the right-wing media. It's more of a persona so they can make money. I mean, most of them are not zealots by heart. The true zealots aren't smart enough to know how to build a career and get millions of people paying them. We've had about 10 people pay us. We need a couple million more. But and so most of them have other personas. I met in my old business, I met two guys that were kind of fire breathers on the air because they get a lot of death threats. And both of them were just normal guys. And then you saw them on the air and you're like, wow, this guy's crazy. And then in person, you're like, he's a normal guy.
Yeah, see, that's what I feel like that, because I mean, he's like, when you see him, I mean, it's almost too much. Like, especially his laughter is so loud. I'm like, yo, you just seem too much. Like, you're not, But then, like, when you hear some people talking about Alex Jones, and Alex Jones is like, he's a nut in real life. Somebody told me, like, he's off the wall, and so it's like.
Mike, we always know you're
It's just weird when I think about like the full thing. Is he that way? And he, I know Alex Jones was on his show, and you're like, whoa, dude, like
that guy's just a pure liar. Just lies. He's just like the flat Earth guys. He just lies to make money.
But I hear he's pretty nuts in person. Like, he's just crazy guy, wild and crazy guy.
We're just two wild and crazy guys.
Best show ever.
What were they? Were they Czech in that, or were they Slovakian? I don't
remember that.
We're talking obviously. Pedro and I are talking about something maybe some of you youngsters don't remember, but the Saturday Night Live skit with Steve Martin and was it Dan Aykroyd? And whoever another guest was too, doing their Slovakian swingers or Czechoslovakian swingers or whatever it was. They're just hilarious stuff. We're two wild and crazy guys. Yeah, that's probably where Borat got the accent. Steve Martin doing it first.
Had to. There's no. I mean, obviously when they start, Steve Martin made it big a long time ago, right? And he blew up, and then he could finally go serious, right? When he did, what was it, Parenting? What was that show with Steve?
Oh
Martin?
yeah, no, Father of the Bride.
Yeah, Father of the Bride, and that's really was like super serious.
No, I didn't know. No, I did not say $150 per plate. I said $250 per plate. You see him collapsing at the cost of his daughter's wedding.
Oh man. But it's funny though, is like he made it, right? And he's sent on probably maybe $100 million, $150 million easily. I would assume. That's, and for most like big time celebrities, that's a small amount. I mean, Justin Bieber
lived in Babylona, moved to Arizona. King Tut. His early comedy albums in the 70s were hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. He's got some. If you've never heard the story of the Cruel Shoes,
no, I have not.
Oh my God! Google Steve Martin's The Cruel Shoes. The Cruel Shoes, and he talks this skit about this woman going to buy shoes that are so uncomfortable, but she buys them, and it's just pure comedic gold. It's so funny.
I'll have to go check it out.
It's just one of those things that in retrospect I like it more because now that I talk on the air and try to have some entertainment, I try to work timing into things to make for effect and stuff like that. And the real comedians can deliver the lines in a way and a method using timing that just makes your pants fall off. You're laughing so hard. Just why don't we talk some crypto for a little bit here? Let me hit a news story here before we get back to some charts and stuff that I had up here.
Well, on a side note, if you guys could hit that like and subscribe
Yes, let's get
button.
some.
And while you're at it, look at the subscribers. We're actually up another 1,000 subs.
Yeah, check it out, everyone.
I was like, I'm like, wow, that's a lot. Like, I was hoping to do that. I'll get it. Don't worry, man.
Oh, that worked. That button doesn't.
But hit that hard button as well. And as you guys are already doing, you're already chatting it up between y'all selves. So, I mean, I got to give you guys up. Building a little community there now. She's talking about food and home brews, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I was trying to catch the discussion about the home brews. And what are we talking about? Like some sangria or some homebrew beer or wine or just stuff?
Oh, man, I'm all about, what do you call, if you can make up like some, home brew from fruits and like put some, I don't know, throw what do they call that? Pineapple. I had one of the best tasting beers, man. It was a pineapple beer. I was like, wow, this is really good. Like those fruit beers are really good. I was shocked. I want to learn how to make them myself. Those home brews.
All right, I got my system fixed here. Some of the fun things to talk about on the news that I thought was very interesting here. As many of you know, we've spoken about FTX a lot. A year ago, more than a year, let's say a year and 4 months ago, they blew up, and everything they blew up, and the government came in, forced them into bankruptcy, arrested everybody, and said that's it, it's done. And everyone got screwed. Everyone lost all their money, lawsuits, this kind of stuff. That Congress was crazy. Elizabeth Warren was nuts. Oh my God, everyone lost all their money, blah, 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 blah. What does this say right here, ladies and gentlemen? FTX expects to fully repay customers, but won't restart defunct crypto exchange. FTX expects to have enough money, in fact, it says it in the article when you read it, that they will be repaying everybody in full. All of the creditors, except, I'm sure, Alameda Research, everyone that had an account there that in theory lost money, all their vendors, everybody like that, like the people that supply the copy machine and the paper or the accounting system. They didn't have an accounting system. They're all getting paid 100%. What does that mean? This is not a defense of SBF. He was not a proper businessman. But it means that they actually did have enough money and assets to pay everybody everything, which means technically they were solvent. Now, there might be some shenanigans in the background about the loans between Alameda and Alameda just losing billions of dollars on basically being the wrong side of every trade when it was collapsing. But the point is that they had enough money to pay everybody back. They had 100% of investor funds. Well, I'm at a loss. Can anyone explain what I'm missing here and why it collapsed so badly if they had enough money for everybody?
Are they paying the full amount or are they paying partial?
100%, it says. Now, obviously, you're not. You're getting your value based on the day they filed for bankruptcy, not what today's value is, because they liquidated a lot of stuff. And I have a feeling because Solana basically 10x'd since they crashed. I have a feeling that they got a lot of extra cash out of that. But still, the point is that they've got the cash. They've got the cash to pay everyone back. And so all those claims that people have now, all those lawsuits, in fact, probably some of the charges against SBF himself are going to have to be
dropped.
Yeah. So, just bring up one person that lost all their money. And all of a sudden the government's like,
Bro, that never happens. There's no way any of his charges are going to get dropped. I mean, I could be wrong, but I mean, I know guys who are still serving time in jail for selling weed. So
I don't understand that.
Yeah, like how does that work? I mean, like 20 years ago, they put in 15, 20 years, and they're still being housed. So I mean, if they can't get rid of those guys who literally were weed is almost legal in every single state of the union. Actually, I really don't know that, but like cops don't even stop you anymore. Like you can, it's like smoking a cigarette. So like, it's just...
Mako Stop, welcome. I need a sound for Mako Stop.
Yeah,
do sharks make sounds? Probably, but we don't understand them. Mako Shark. He says you sound like you're talking about prison hooch.
Prison hooch.
I think Mako Stop is beyond a few minutes. Mako, if you get this, click the live button. But anyway, so I thought this story about FTX was very interesting because of the
Absolutely.
Because of the just the irony of all this bad stuff happening. Yet it seems to be everything seems to be fine. Tara says toilet wine, whatever you got to do. Where you guys come up with this stuff? Sick, demented people.
We fit along great.
All right, so let's see. Where's this other one? Yeah, monitoring of... Oh, yeah, here's what I was talking about, the energy department. If you've paid attention to the show, I've had guests on from the Canadian Blockchain Consortium and also businesses that deal in mining. I had Simon Raven on a couple of weeks ago. Talking about how the Bitcoin mining energy use was blown way out of proportion. And this article here on Decrypt, it even talks about the group that, the group that used to do that. I think it was Cambridge University. Blah 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 blah. Let's see, environmental campaign. No, not that one. Crypto mining advocates can use it. No, blah 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 blah. Oh, in September 23, University of Cambridge implemented a major update to its Bitcoin electricity consumption index, one of the key references for Bitcoin mining energy consumption, concluding that previous calculations had been overestimations, which we all in the industry thought, well, that's really Bitcoin is going to use more power than the entire rest of the world. I mean, like, has anyone ever seen what an aluminum plant does? You know, I mean, they use more power than like most states do, an aluminum plant. It's the most amazing use of electricity ever to make aluminum. And Bitcoin is much, much smaller than that amount. But anyway, so that was the cause, the Cambridge University, they're saying that Bitcoin was, oh my God, so awful, this kind of stuff. But they refuted. They said, wait a minute, we blew it. We didn't know what we were doing. We fixed it. Not only that, but now we take into account all the renewables that Bitcoin is using. And not only that, but factoring in things like Bitcoin. A lot of times Bitcoin is now using power, but they're making it. You know, they're taking excess gas, natural gas that's coming, that they burn it, just burn. It's called flare gas. They just burn it, but now Bitcoin is turning that into power. And the kind of the Simon was talking about this. The mobile places they put up distributes that power to the area around them, and the excess power they use for Bitcoin. And especially there's tons of excess power. Power demand is only used about 20%, 20 hours a day. Is either medium or low power usage, except obviously in the middle of summer in the northern hemisphere, or in the hot parts of the world. But there's only 2 hours in the evening, 2 hours in the morning when we're really using all the power. So they turn the Bitcoin machines off then. And the rest of the day they run fine, use all the power. They also use them. They've got these new tidal things where they just divert water and run them through a little mini turbine, and they're getting a couple gigawatts of power out of them. And these people were counting that as, oh my God, they're using all this power in like Uganda, and so now the residents don't have the power. No, they were making it from water. They're just using hydro. And so they fixed all that, and when they fixed it all, it said, oh, Bitcoin actually doesn't use that much compared to all these other industries. Yet, the U.S. government, in their infinite wisdom, the Office of Budget and Management, issued an emergency collection of data requests. It's an emergency. We have to know this information. So they sent it over to the Energy Information Administration. I said the Energy Department. I was wrong. I don't know what the hell the Energy Information is. For an emergency, and apparently the federal government has the authority to require whoever they ask to report on their energy usage. I didn't know this, but they issued an emergency. And the basis is all the old tropes. The Bitcoin is using way too much power. Our grid's at risk. Bitcoin now actually helps balance the grid well because they can predict the load down to the last millisecond. So I thought this was a good article. It's just another example of the U.S. government being way behind. And as we know in crypto, way behind means about 6 months. Yeah, Mako, I was right. Mako, you were behind. I can tell about when the comments come in what you're talking about. What's up, guys? Welcome, Mako.
It's moving so quick now. Even 6 months is like years. I mean, if you think about 6 months ago, what was actually happening, I mean, we were still in the rows of 17,000 Bitcoin.
Right.
So we're it's like 6 months ago, man. I mean,
Mr. Lawton, I see your note here about the EU wants to ban BTC mining, and it looks like they're going to pass that legislation. I cannot figure out the European Parliament and the European Commission. The things that they do without any oversight are amazing. It's going to turn Europe even to it's going to be a worse autocracy than it already is. I just don't get it. And the news coming out now about Bitcoin mining and the industry behind them and the money behind it and the jobs behind it, it's so, I mean, it's just like saying, all right, let's just move it all to China. We gave our manufacturing to China. Now we're going to give our Bitcoin mining to China. Because China's going to turn the switch the other way one day and say, okay, well, you can do the mining again. Because the government for sure is doing it over there. Might as well let the people do it at some point too. And so they'll take all that from Europe now too. We'll take it. Texas is like the home of mining in the U.S., just like Alberta is in Canada, because of decent power rates, the realization that it can help your electrical grid balance everything. And not only that, but there's competition. So one power company is going, I'm selling that stuff at 7 cents now. If I could sell it at 6.9 cents, I'd get 100% more market share. And so they're cutting each other's throats, lowering the prices, which is good. There's very rare. When was the last time there was innovation in the electrical market? There's Franklin with the key on the kite. Ooh, hey, check that out, electricity. And then they learned, hey, we can burn something else and turn a turbine. We can pour water in a turbine and make it spin, and yada yada. Oh, we can crack the uranium. Oh, okay, we can make nuclear. What else other innovation has there been? There's nothing. There's no incentive to be innovative in the power industry because you get 100% of your costs covered and guaranteed profit. But now they're competing against each other, so that's good. It's good for business, and it's not going to be happening in Europe if they want to ban that stuff. Alicia says they are testing our patience.
I would agree.
I would agree with you. I mean, the only thing I'll give them credit for, which they did badly, was the GDPR. Is that it? The Data Protection Act. They rushed it through. They did it badly. They didn't take into account a million things. But I got to tell you, it's helped sort things out over here a little bit too with Facebook and Google, because they gotta. I love it when they get called to task over in Europe for like, wait a minute, you gathered all this information and sold it on this guy from Liechtenstein. And Zuckerberg is like, so? And they're like, $2 billion fine. Book. You're like, oh, $2 billion. I've got a camera freezing problem here, don't I?
Really? You look good.
My camera's I have two settings on my camera here, and it defaults to the one I don't like, and every once in a while the frame rate doesn't work. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting, and for you Europeans, you got to get a handle on that European Parliament. Weird stuff goes through there, and it gets like the English word is groupthink. They start thinking as a group wrongly, and everyone has to like toe the line and that kind of type of stuff. Obviously, except for the guy in where is it, Hungary or something? He's kind of doing his own thing, or Bulgaria. No, it's Hungary. One of those two guys that's siding with Putin. He's getting the big time bribes. I didn't say that on the air, did I?
They have a ton of gold. I mean, you sure got. I mean, here's the thing: the amount of gold that they have. Oh, actually, excuse me. Let me phrase this: the amount of gold that Putin has, he can pretty much buy anything he wants.
That's true, but unfortunately, when he's going to steal it all, and everyone's going to know where it is, and there'll be a embargo or something, and he'll have to melt it down and carry it out of Russia in his pockets or something like that. Anyway, I came across another website here before we get to back to Pedro here. I've been going on long enough. Bitcoin obituaries. Have you ever seen this? I just came about this website. You can't really see it that well. Let me try and blow it up here a little bit. It's the number of times Bitcoin has died, and it's currently at 475. And you think Bitcoin's never died? That isn't right. No, what it is it's a website that aggregates the number of articles in the press that has said Bitcoin's dead this year. It's not possible for it to survive, and it goes all the way back to 2010. It goes all the way. Most recent death, BlackRock will completely destroy Bitcoin. Oldest death, December 15th, 2010. Why Bitcoin can't be a currency. And it just has every year the number of articles. And if you find one, you could submit it too and become famous too. I thought that was a little entertaining for everybody. The number of times Bitcoin has died.
Dude, I honestly think, I mean, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think it might be a CIA operative, like, system that is actually.
It's in my head too, Pedro. It's in my head too.
I mean, the more and more I look at it, it's like, I mean, think of any, because they understand how to market things. They understand how to influence the whole entire world and populace. They know how to influence all nations, right? They are the Central Intelligence Agency. And, I mean, if ever they were defunded, okay, and that people just said, we no longer want you, all of a sudden we see Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, wall all of a sudden come alive, and he starts selling. You're like, what? It's the CIA. I mean, I could be wrong, but put on your tin foils. Put on the.
Alicia, yeah, I forgot about the solar panels in my list of innovations things. You're right. That it is a proper one. Their lobbyists made sure we were fined for using solar panels. Well, this is I visited my friend in Germany. Germany has a lot of solar panels. Lots of places in Illinois. There's a nice program to help people do it when solar was way more expensive. And if you generate power, more power than you use, it puts it back into the electrical grid, and your meter actually goes in reverse, and you can get paid if you continuously put more power into the grid. You can get paid for that because you're supplying power. And my buddy in Germany, I said, why don't you have electrical panel or solar panels like all these other people? And he's like, nope, too much time and effort and money. And I was like, why? I said, seems all right. He goes, and he explains. He said, in the U.S., you can get paid for generating power and putting it back in the grid. He goes, here, they don't let us do that. I said, even if you put more power into the grid, they don't take anything off your bill or anything like that? And he's like, nope, we are Germans. I thought that to be interesting. And so Alicia, I can sympathize with your predicament there. Anyway, over here, this what I got up here now is Pedro and I have been talking about this behind the scenes a little bit, and occasionally on the show, the amount of stuff that the U.S. government now owns in crypto land. And I realize the chart is unviewable on your screen, so we'll just go over it real quickly.
Want to send it to my link? send it to me and we can just dual screen it, or?
No, I have it on this. I have it on the screen.
Oh,
It's just the print
okay.
is just small. The
Ah,
U.S.
got it.
government currently owns $9 billion worth of crypto. And this is what they can. The website is disclaimer. This is what we can figure out. They have 216,000. No, yeah, 216,000 Bitcoin valued at 9.2 billion. Much less ETH, only 128 million ETH, and then a bunch of other tokens, including some DAI, USDT, and stuff, all the way down to very little amount of stuff. But that's they have basically $10 billion worth of stuff in their wallets. They don't seem to be getting rid of it either.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have to get rid of it within a couple months, so they're holding on to the stuff. Like, and any bank would buy it instantly.
Oh yeah, they could do an over the counter transaction to J.P. Morgan or something like that. J.P. Morgan would say, "We'll take $5 billion off your hands right now because it's not going to affect the market."
Mm-hmm.
But they'd have to do an auction. They couldn't just sell it. They'd have to do an auction, and people would only pay a little bit
Above.
Yeah, a little bit above, just a little bit less than what the market would move if they sold it on the open.
Well,
Anyway,
it's in a private wallet, right? Correct, as well.
Yeah, the U.S. government has its own custody thing, just wallets that
Interesting.
probably some junior level clerk, it's got, oh, what's this? Oh, they're like, I'll just keep this phrase secret, It's all right. I'll put it's in their drawer right here. Hey, has anyone seen Marcia? Well, she was here an hour ago. Her computer's still on. It says recovery phrase entered complete. Wallet imported. What is that? Anyone know what that means? Marcia?
Like,
she's gone.
Marcia, bud.
Really? A helicopter just landed on the back lawn here and took Marcia? Really? I can't believe that.
That's so true. And here's the thing: as the CIA as well as the FBI keep going through and finding, because I don't think we are done with hacks. There's still a lot of people who've been hacked just privately that are, and the U.S. government's going through and finding out and grabbing that stuff. Dude, I'm almost positive it's got. What do you think the odds are that there are multiple wallets like this that they have that they just aren't talking about?
Well, it depends. If it's a whale, if there's a lot in it, I mean, someone's watching it. I mean, every big wallet on Bitcoin, I mean, they've got projects that just watch Bitcoin. I think there's even odds in Vegas on when certain wallets are going to sell or not.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they watch all the top wallets, so I can't imagine that after a while they wouldn't figure out who is who. Anyway, let me get to, while I'm on my rants and talking and stuff, and sorry, but normally I like to switch it up and mix up news and Pedros and charts and this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But we've got the core crew here today, and not an extended one. And so let's talk about what in the heart of this.
Wait,
so I'm going to do this in a way where
before you get started, make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button if you don't mind. I know we keep doing it. We're trying to keep that up. The other day we didn't do it, and it just, so every time we switch from news to news articles, you just got to sit there and say, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and if you're new here, please just go through and say what up so we can know who you are. All right, go ahead, brother. Talk to me about BRICS.
BRICS, ladies and gentlemen.
BRICS.
A number of weeks ago, I did a video on BRICS. Nope, not going to happen. It's not going to happen, and I gave you a bunch of reasons why, including the world's industries rely on insurance in order to, the world's supply chains rely on insurance to function, and that ultimately is in dollars and pound sterling. I talked about the corruption index, and all of these countries are very low on the corruption index, which means that they're going to steal your money. They don't even trust people in their own government, never mind other governments, which I'll get to in a minute. And two other reasons, plus the reason of Mr. Putin just shooting the guy that audits the gold, taking a bunch for himself, and so forth. And I was adamant that BRICS was not going to work. And so I thought to myself yesterday, Tom, were you wrong? You got to go back, Pedro, right? You look at your opinions. You got to go back and look at your charts, your reverse, back, what do you call it? Back doing a bunch of trading strategies to see if they would have worked. And I do that too. I think I read some more news about that. Let me think about it. And yesterday, sure enough, it comes out that Saudi Arabia officially joins the BRICS alliance. You think, Tom, why do you care so much about this? Well, I care about it because right now it's getting a lot of views on the internet here. But
we did say that yesterday too, as well.
Right.
Just so side note, we did say that,
and
officially.
And so I said, all right, why does this bother you so much? Because it doesn't bother. I don't really care as long as there's a good currency to use. Do I like it that it's a U.S. dollar and it benefits our country for that? Yes, it's one of the only things we got going for us right now. But two, it bothers me because there's way more misinformation out there about BRICS and people's thought process about it, and it's going to cost people money, and it's going to cost investors money. They're going to lose money in this. And the point of this show is DYOR is to do your own research and not lose money due to stupid things. And there's going to be a lot of scams that come out about BRICS and all this type of stuff. I am certain in the long run it's not going to work as well as they want it to. Obviously, any system that people set up to trade amongst each other, if you play the video game Fallout 4, you set up a little economy, you trade amongst each other, things work. But if you want to take over the world and de-dollarize, you have to get a bunch of things under your belt. You have to get the insurance world and the credit world and the legitimacy of your currency all figured out. And until you can get insurance and credit figured out, nothing really happens, and trade doesn't happen without those guarantees. Wait, hold on a second. Let me get through a thought process here. And so these countries are going to join together. Saudi Arabia is obviously a big country and a wealthy country.
Money-wise.
Yeah, money-wise, not people-wise. And geographically, it's a big place and all this stuff. And they have a lot of influence because they have a lot of oil still. And it turns out they have plenty of oil to last, forever now, as we come up with new techniques and better ways to find it and all this type of stuff. But the problem is, and the problem with most of these countries is infighting about that money, infighting about the money, infighting about power and influence, and that you see it happening in the U.S. a little, but that is at like 1% the scale that these countries operate on. I mean, this guy here, he's got a whole secondary army just to protect himself from his country's own army. I mean, the Saudi National Guard is designed to protect the royal family and, if needed, fight its own army. Just so let's think about that for a little bit. And also, Saudi Arabia basically is never threatened by anybody because they're protected by the United States. If they can talk all they want. If they ultimately said, all right, we're done with the United States and the United States currency, we'd be like, okay, well, we're done protecting you. And Iran and the Shiite guys that are unhappy with them would take them over very quickly. So that being the kind of the basis of my thought process behind that. But one of the issues still remains of competition amongst each other for power, influence, and money. And in my body of the description for the show today, I said I was going to drop a bombshell, an explosive bombshell, or explosive prediction about what is actually going to happen to BRICS. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good because ultimately it's going to wind up in warfare. And that's my prediction. Yeah. And it's not between the United States and currency people. No, it's amongst themselves. Because ultimately, what does everyone fight about in the world? What do they fight about? They fight about two things. They fight about women and they fight about money. That's what, that kind of stuff. And I use women in general, but that encompasses a lot of things that are the chest beating things. Bravado, I have to protect my woman, I have to do this kind of stuff. And that encompasses religion and all that type of stuff too. And it's my way or the highway. I'm the man in charge. You'll take my religion or none. And so ultimately they're going to fight with each other, and it's going to be lots of nasty regional wars, unlike wars that the U.S. and is capable of. Because of this reason, there's only about 5 countries in the world that have what's called an expeditionary force, an army that's able to move somewhere and fight. The United States, United Kingdom, France, Russia. So that's not so much Russia anymore, but so much. China's building one, but they're far from it. But all the other armies of the world, including a German army, which is very good, is not an expeditionary force, meaning they can't go and fight other people, which means there'll be lots of regional wars because you'll be able to fight along your borders about money. It's just, I'll bet you all the money in my pocket right now, which I think is what's here in Canada known as a toonie, a $2 Canadian coin, that regional wars break out because people will start not trusting each other with the money. And they'll be like, wait, we didn't get enough gold on that. No, yes, you did. Or I'm not paying you. I'm holding it hostage until, you change your leader or something like that. So it's my prediction that ultimately the BRICS alliance will wind up in warfare. If not direct open warfare, but behind the scenes assassinations and things like that, which would be great intriguing. It's like,
Dude,
he got popped in the head.
If that happens and we start to see straight up, we talked about this, but here's my back. What if it becomes like Days of Our Lives, bro?
Oh, totally.
The drama. To sit back and be and listen, I hope it doesn't happen. I hope, I think it would be kind of good to have some competition with the US dollar. I know people don't like to hear that, but it would actually help with like keeping America kind of
Crypto Mike, really I saw you
around the world, right?
Not home
but in the same sense, if things start to really get like Days of Our Lives and you start to have backbiting and internal family wars, I'll just sit back and be like, woo, so what are we doing today? What happened today? It's like...
Right, no, totally. Imagine leaders of a bunch of small little countries in Africa and things like that pissing off someone who's known to assassinate people regularly, like Mr. Putin. The guys falling out of hotels that they never even checked into. Their planes just exploding in the sky. Like, I don't know, the plane just exploded. Huh? It's normal, right? Planes just explode, right? No, it's
all
not
the
normal.
time.
Yeah, I like the guys that fall backwards out of the hotels. He just fell backwards off. He's talking on his phone and off the 18th floor, even though his people at his company thought he was in the office. Yeah. But anyway, so it'll be intrigue.
It's the wrong one.
It'll be intrigue like Europe was in the 1950s and 60s with the when the Berlin Wall went up and the spies and all that, playing spy versus spy and all this type of stuff. Except it'll be way more deadly than it ever was between the U.S. and Russia. They're going to be killing each other left and right. As soon as they're like, well, we can have more influence in this BRICS thing. They don't do it now because they just have no chance. With the G7 countries have so much more strength and power, and intelligence. It just the normal day-to-day bad shenanigans don't happen like that anymore. But between that group of people, it's gonna be brutal. All that finance minister is gonna do this little skim off the top, and it's gonna be like the mafia. He's gonna wake up one morning and there's gonna be a horse in his, in his bed. Yeah, and the other guy's gonna walk up and put the little 22, or go to start the car in the morning. See ya, I'll be home after work, honey.
Oh.
Or there'll be a guided munition from 600 miles away. It's gonna be brutal. That's my prediction, ladies and gentlemen. Oh wait, here let's see this disaster of a comment. What if the EU and Russia joined forces? Difficult but not impossible. I gotta tell you, there are some. I don't understand the Germans. And some of the Eastern Europeans still have the mentality. But the Germans are like, no, we should not let Russia have Ukraine and all this type of stuff. I was talking to my buddy. He's like, yeah, you Americans screwed it all up because you put them on the sanctions list, and now our gas price is crazy and all this type of stuff. I'm like, you realize they went in and tried to kill everyone and capture the president, and you can't just do that, right? And he's like, it's Putin, it's Russia. We don't want to mess with them too much. And of course, I remembered walking on the street outside his apartment. I think I mentioned this to you before, Pedro. The manhole cover on just a random small town in Bavaria, Bavarian part of Germany. the manhole cover says Gazprom on it. Gazprom's obviously the natural gas company of Russia. And I said, why does the manhole cover say Gazprom? He said, well, they own all of the natural gas stuff here. I said, they own all of it? He's like, yeah. I said, that was a big mistake. And he's like, why? We get cheap gas. I'm like, because it's Russia. They're going to screw you. And he's like, no, it's fine. They need our money and all this type of stuff. I said, no. I said, they will eventually screw you. And sure enough, when Russia invaded Ukraine and Germany's like, no, you shouldn't. They started turning the taps off. They're like, oh, it's getting cold, isn't it? And Germany's like, ooh, because if you remember when they invaded Germany, when the Russians invaded Ukraine, the Germans were slow to it. They were like, well, I don't know. They were waffling. And everyone's like, why are you waffling? This is obviously very bad. It's because the whole country relies on their gas, on the Russians' cheap gas that they were selling them. And they didn't want to have a cold winter. And it took the rest of the world to say, all right, we will, if the Russians turn it off, we'll step up and help Germany. And then Germany finally said, okay, all right, we'll do it. But still, to this day, Mr. Lawton, and I don't know your views of it, but many people in Europe are like, nah, it's Russia. Whatever, just deal with them. And it's because you guys spent, there's been like 3 or 4 generations now of people that grew up under the protection, basically, of the United States military, keeping the Soviet Union away for so many years. And then with the wall coming down, it seemingly was going to be fine and you take care of yourselves. And then, of course, how long did Russia have democracy? About 6 weeks? It was in the 90s. Just didn't last that long. And then Putin started his rise in, like, what was it, 90, 97, 96, 97? Can't remember. Then it's not been any good since then. So is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. Is it probable? No, it's not probable. But just the fact that it's possible at all scares the crap out of me. I think it was a lot better when the Tsar was the cousin of the King of England. I think everything seemed to work a lot smoother back then. The country was dirt poor and they stole all the money, but that's besides the point. Anyway, how it's gonna work? BRICS is gonna end up in flames, fighting each other, and you'll see it, and you'll know. You'll be able to predict it about 5 years in advance because you'll see more of these countries, building a navy and turning their army into an expeditionary force so they can go and take someone else's money. That's what the British did. They famously went to everywhere on the planet and said, "You got a flag?" They're like, "No, we don't have a flag. Here, have ours. Union Jack, claimed by the Queen and the King." And the U.S. has done that with our military and the dollar and stuff like that. And you'll see it. You'll see these nations starting to arm up because they'll all be trying to take each other's money. It's going to happen. It's going to happen.
It's real interesting because you have the backside behind this where you have nations like Brazil, right? You have these other ones that have the majority of the world's goods and services that are going through and actually developing stuff. So when you start to really see they fight between each other, it's going to be really interesting to see the supply chain really get clogged up. Inflation is going to skyrocket, or you're going to have a depression where you have deflation that happens, right? Because basically it'll shoot back up and then shoot back down because literally you don't have it. Or you'll have a backside where one nation, like let's say, and the reason why I use Brazil, because Brazil produces a lot of fruit, a lot of food here in America, and there are other third world, there are other South American countries that are looking and are trying to join the BRICS nations, and they produce a lot of food. So is America going to sit there and say, no, you're not going to do that, like, because you help feed us and we pay you in dollars and we'll stop. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the geopolitical movement between other nations regarding food-wise. And this is a big deal because America, we have this thing called winter, and we don't produce, we don't produce remote. I think it's 20% of what we actually need to produce, and it's very sparse. And so, granted, we get the majority of our crude oil from, Canada and or Mexico. But if things start to really push forward and we start seeing this BRICS dollar really pushing, I don't see those smaller countries over there siding over with America. It's going to be really interesting because they're going to want to get their piece. They can finally come up instead of being under the dollar hegemon. So
Well, all they're doing is just inviting more corruption instead of playing on a field that is a level playing field and is designed to reduce corruption. I tell you, it's gonna be Assassination Central, and it's gonna be awesome. In fact, it might cause me to get back in the armored vehicle business and start selling them armored vehicles again.
Dude, I want to. If you do, you got to give me. I want one Humvee. You got to hook me up with the Humvee for a couple dollars.
Yeah, right. What was the Chevy Chase movie? I think it was called Armed and Dangerous. No, Deal of the Century, in which he played a salesman from Luck Up Industries, trying to sell this new super duper fighter jet to all these African dictators and stuff like that. And all he did was sit around by the phone waiting to get the call from the minister's aide saying the Minister of Defense's aide, he'll see you now. It was before cell phones. And so that's what it used to be like in our industry before cell phones. You sit there, you'd travel to some city and you wait. All you do is sit in your hotel room. Or you'd go to the front desk at the hotel and say, if room 100 gets a call, I'll be in the bar.
Wow.
Really? And if you miss the call, you might not get another one for 2 weeks. But then thankfully they invented cell phones and stuff like that. I remember when I used to basically live in 2 or 3 hotels. One of them, thankfully, was in Marina Del Rey, the Marriott Marina Del Rey. And this was before I had a cell phone. I'd go there for like 2 or 3 weeks at a time because everyone from Asia came to Los Angeles to buy cars and parts and stuff like that. So they'd buy armored vehicles. And so I would just sit there and meet with people. But if you didn't, your only phone was the hotel phone. If you weren't there to answer the call, you didn't get the deal. War Dogs, Mako, I actually knew those guys.
You really did?
Believe it or not, I did. Royal Q in the house from Zimbabwe. Speaking of African dictators, welcome, Royal Q. But yeah, Mako, I used to participate. I used to do a lot of business with the U.S. government, so I paid attention to it's called the Fed BizOps. It's what's called SAM now. It's the Central Procurement Location, my old company, I used to not only build armored vehicles, passenger vehicles, and SWAT trucks and things like that. Every time a customer from overseas would say, we want you to buy some other things too, and ship over in all one big package, because they got to get an export license and all this type of stuff, so you might as well do everything at once. They always want to buy firearms for their protective security details. And bulletproof vests, but all the equipment that they would use. And so I had to get I was a federal firearms licensee and exporter and all this type of stuff. So I paid attention to all the gun purchases that the U.S. government went through and this type of stuff. And I saw these guys out of nowhere win this small contract. I'm like, who the hell are these guys? And then they won this other contract to supply some armored vehicles. And I was like, all right, well, that's my business. What the hell? And it was something I couldn't really do or build. And it was like, buying some in one location and delivering them to Iraq. So I called them. Called them up. I said, hey, I see you guys are buying armored vehicles. I manufacture armored vehicles. What does it take to get you guys to buy some from me? And I don't remember which guy I talked to. I don't think I talked to one of the 2 main guys. I think I just talked to one of the guys they had in the office. And they said, oh, we periodically buy stuff. Let's stay in touch and stuff like that. And since the movie came out, I've gone back to my old email archives and tried to figure it out, but I just never archived that stuff correctly. But anyway, and then they said all of a sudden they win this $340 million contract or whatever it is. And I was like, holy shit. And I'm like, these guys there's no way they can put that contract together. And sure enough, they did. And then they didn't. And then they got arrested. And And then the movie came out, and I'm like, I know those guys. I forget what their company was called, AE something, or Ace or A&E. It was A's, so it was at the top of the list. I was like, you know, if you're in government contracting long enough, you know who the players are, and you have to put in your dues. I mean, the government doesn't just say, if you can't just start a company and sell a big contract to the government, because the contracting offer is like, well, there's no good history here. You know, we'll try them if they have a good price and good value on the small amount and prove that they're good, get a good track record, and then they'll get the big contract. These guys just leapt it right up there to the $300 million one, and I was like, why can't I do that? Well, I wasn't cheating the system, that's why. And they were. Royal Q, welcome to the shop. Yes, I know, it's a funny story, Mako. It's just those stories come out about that business all the time. Royal Q, as usual, you are late. We started an hour and a half ago. I see Pedro had already addressed that. Put your notifications on. Well, your YouTube notifications. Go to DYOR Media, click pink. Notification, you'll get one when we come on. It's unlike LinkedIn, which may or may not notify you if we go on. The YouTube always does when we go on. And certainly Twitch does. Twitch does too. Anyway, Pedro, I've been talking long enough today. I've given my piece about BRICS. Was I wrong? The answer is no. I do not believe that I am wrong. More countries may join and it might start out okay, but ultimately it can't work until they figure out credit, insurance, and they don't go around killing each other, which I predict is going to happen.
One last news. Hear about the one of the biggest banks in Germany going through, and I think I
hear
said
something
that
about them.
Yeah,
they're getting fined for something.
Nah, so basically, DZ Bank, Germany's second largest bank, set to launch a cryptocurrency trading platform. And so I think that's going to bring a lot of volume. Like I would assume, I mean, you don't have any of that in the US here. So in Germany, I know they have a lot of traders. Like there's a lot of traders in Germany. So it's going to be really interesting to see that volume come into. And one thing about banks, which is nice, is that they're obviously going to trade that within their own ecosystem. And it's going to bring, I wonder if it's going to bring volume into the actual spot coin, or are we going to sit there and see, are we going to see it traded in their own ecosystem, right? It's like, where are the fees going to be brought in?
Right.
So,
good question on that. Good question. I don't have a good answer for you too. I don't. I haven't. I'll put that on the list to do some research on that. That the Germans are. Speaking, I mentioned Liechtenstein. I just learned yesterday that in Liechtenstein, you can start businesses and fully in crypto and issue shares of your company as tokens. You know, you can go to the Start My Business window in Liechtenstein. And you say, here's some Bitcoin. I'm starting my company. And, governments, stamp the official number of shares on record. And instead of shares, they have tokens. I don't mean like a handful of tokens like you're in Vegas. I mean, like, digitized ownership of it. And no DAO needed, no anything like that. Just, you can just do it. I thought that's very inventive. Especially if you Europeans with the regulators on your shoulders all the time. BaFin and the German regulators already licensed several DLT banks. That is, I guess I did know that. I think there's now 2 in Switzerland also.
Interesting, really, really interesting. But I find it. The fact is that the digitization, I know a lot of companies are out there trying to digitize traditional assets, but it's kind of happening without really one person taking over, but just, it's almost like when gold and you had the central system, the fractionalized system that we currently have, it all kind of started with a bunch of people kind of trying to figure it out, and then it just kind of morphed into what we have today. It wasn't like one specific
Right.
moment. And so it's going to be really interesting to see who takes over, who wins out, who's the one who really who becomes the Google of the digitization of traditional assets. So really interesting to see how that unfolds.
The first group that figures it out in a proper jurisdiction and it really enables cross-chain movement of digitized assets will win that. That's for sure.
Absolutely. It makes it very simple to use and do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the last part of our show. Usually, as I said earlier, I like to mix stuff up here, but I didn't today. We did the news and my ranting on all in the middle of the show. And I know most of us also want to hear about the markets because we all want to make some money here. So we're going to get to that. But first, to quickly talk about my sponsors here. Camuso CPA down here, for those of you that haven't already heard me talk about Camuso CPA, is all about the accounting and tax reporting of crypto. Patrick Camuso, the founder and lead CPA there, just did a good LinkedIn Live. In fact, he does them all the time about tax tips, what's going on, things in the market. And this week he addressed the letters that everyone that's a member that uses the Kraken exchange, everyone that uses the Kraken exchange is getting a letter from the IRS saying, hey, you better report this shit properly because we subpoenaed them and got all the information out of them about who's trading what. So you better be on your ball and report correctly. It was very nice of the IRS just to warn everybody. It was easier to send out a letter and have everybody go through the process of fixing their taxes rather than getting a million wrong ones. Anyway, so if you want to learn all about that, if you use Kraken, go over to LinkedIn, find Camuso CPA chain and their Luca and Pacioli system for auditing financial reports for companies as they're getting ready. I've been saying this a while, about a year now. They're getting ready to go live, but a couple of major tax things changed around the world, so they had to update everything. The user interface was designed that only a wizard could figure out, and now they've come up with a simple one, so I'll be doing some videos about that. So thank you to Audit Chain. Go to see their stuff at auditchain.finance if you're so interested in the assurance and financial reporting industry. Back to Pedro. Pedro, what's happening in the world of the markets?
Yeah, so right now the market is just kind of sitting here sideways. Let's go over just some of the coins that we've been looking at. For CAS is again just kind of chilling here. We did a sell-off of the news for the Fed, and you can see how now it's kind of put in a lower high. It's going to be interesting to see if we come and test this. We're really sitting in this range here, and we don't know what's going to happen here, but it should produce a decent amount of volume if it does sell off. So that's what I expected to do. We're not seeing a lot of buy volume coming in, so yeah. I expect to see this kind of push down to these lower levels. Yeah, you can see
their volume is actually trickling off. I don't pay attention to CAS much, but I get their Discord notifications, and they're doing an upgrade of their validators right now, or something's going on over there on the technical side. Might be one of the reasons why the volume is down.
Absolutely. And then right here we have NetZ. NetZ, again, this is kind of same thing, consolidating this period. You have this demand zone right underneath, basically just kind of chilling here. Again, similar, we're seeing the volume kind of die off. I expected to see with the volumes that we saw come in over the last few days that are buy volumes, to see it push through this 8 period and 20 period moving average, which as you can see here, it's starting to hold pretty strong here. So it's going to be really kind of hard, because once we break into week 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for next week, if we continue down, that weekly 8 is going to appear here. It's going to be above the price. So again, that's going to add resistance to it, which then should see another kind of drop in these lower levels. Check out Raven Coin here. We came down. We hit our area of demand, and now we're just kind of consolidating here. Real interesting to see what's going to happen. For me, we saw a lot of buy volume step in at these two levels. So, and I'm seeing here a lot of buyer wicks, which indicates to me that there are people who are buying this and they are interested in it every time it does a decent sell off. So, and you've got a pretty good consolidation here, period, of almost a full year.
Yeah, I need to
So it's
learn more about this Raven coin. It seems to that from my perspective, the chart's reaching your the little green lines here, and
mm-hmm.
it's getting ready to do that go back up thing.
Yep.
That's the technical
Looking
term,
like
by the way, ladies and gentlemen, that you can only
that
learn
go.
on the DYOR network here. It's going to do that go back up thing.
Yes, it could.
That'll
But
be another
also,
one of the
like,
shirts we put on the merch store. We want it to do the
go
go back
back
up
up.
thing.
One of the things I do bring up here, update regarding Bittrex Global. Pardon me. So you can see here that the highs here, which is really interesting, I think it's 28%, or excuse me, not 20, 29 cents. Right now they're sitting at 2 cents. So if they go up to their highs here, the next bull run, which a lot of times they do, right? Um, that's a pretty big, what is that? 14% on a decent sized coin, or excuse me, not 14%, 14x. That's different, much
Yeah.
different. Uh, 14x to the highs, and if it continues up, we normally see a coin will go 3 to 10x from the peak into the bull run. So I mean, potentially into the bull run, you could see this at 90 cents. So potentially. So yeah, it's one of those things that we've been following and kind of just keeping an eye on. The other one, iron. Here we go. You can see right here. I think what I find myself as I look at this is that we're starting to find support on that 100 period moving average, and now starting to find support on that 89. And we're putting in some higher highs and higher lows as we're coming up. So if we can keep above this over the weekend of that 89 here and not fall through that 89 into that 200 or 100-day period average, we should see iron start to push up a little bit more as we progress into the bull market. Let's go ahead and go to theta. Theta here is looking similar to a lot of the other stuff, except we did fall below that 100 period moving average, and now we're starting to continue down. So I talked about this, that it's been struggling to try to stay above that 100 period moving average, but now that we've fallen through it, it is coming in with a decent amount of volume from yesterday. So today's about almost half, because the market, the Asian Open will open here. It's a decent amount of volume. So by the end, we should have equal amount of volume setting in as it drops. So it's going to be one of those moments that, if this holds, then, or excuse me, if this falls through here, it's not most likely going to hold at this 200. We should see it then fall below the lows at these areas here. But it all depends on how it holds here and holds on that 200. The 200 typically acts as good resistance and support. So we're going to see if it does hold on here. You can check out the jazz hand.
Jazz
Jazz hand.
One a singular sensation, every little step she takes.
Yeah, okay.
That's the famous Broadway show, A Chorus Line there, ladies and gentlemen. Your host, Striking Ball, singing a chorus line.
Oh, yeah. So as you guys can see here, this is very similar to what we're looking at earlier with Theta. It's pretty much the same thing. Expect if it doesn't, most likely this one and the other one, that 200 will not hold most likely. But if it happens to, then we should see a bounce
Crypto
off
Mike,
here.
thanks for joining us. See you later. Look out for
Definitely,
my
brother.
desk as it drives by your house.
Real quick, did Mike want us to check anything, or anybody want
No,
us to
but
check
Alicia says, Pedro, please take a look at B2M.
All right, give me 1 second.
B2M.
All right, is that it? Hmm. Is this current? Is this correct? Ooh.
Not looking too good there.
I mean,
Alicia,
got all the way
let
up
us know if
to.
we've got the right one here.
No, there's no way. Like, this is not correct. $5. It went from like 4 cents all the way to $5.
I mean that's the all-time botted launch or something. I don't know what the hell.
Imagine being a part of that, dude.
It's a
Like if that was
Spanish. It's a
real.
Spanish exchange. Bit to me.
All right. Is this the correct coin for the exchange?
I don't know. Go back and start over.
Let me see here real quick.
Here, I'll use my Spanish. El go backo and start over. Oh.
B2.
Actually, took Spanish all through high school. I was taught by a teacher who only taught us how to conjugate verbs in Spanish, like Spain Spanish. But in most of the parts of the U.S. where I am, the only Spanish you hear and talk is Mexican Spanish, or Miami Cuban Spanglish, which is like listening to Quebecois. It hurts your ears. It's like, oh, this is the most awful thing ever. And you listen to proper Spanish, it's like, oh, that's such a beautiful language. It's stuff that comes out of the... I'm not even going to say it. Anyway, did you find the right one there? It looks like it.
I think so. I think this is the right one here. Let us know, Alicia, if it's the correct one.
Let us know if you're pronouncing the name correctly. If, Alicia...
Yeah. Alicia.
Yeah,
So-
the sorry, Pedro, I didn't mean to cut you off again, but the language thing is... I understand that American English sounds strange to the English, but not like this Quebecois stuff or the Mexican Spanish. I had two friends. One was from Mexico, one was from Colombia. And Colombia speaks more Spain Spanish. And they were like, I don't understand you. I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
That's funny. Well, the backside behind it, though, is when you start to see like like French, you're in Canada, so like French and French Canadian versus French.
they call it Quebecois for Quebec speak Quebecois. It's the French.
Oh, that's what we're.
That's
okay.
the Quebec dialect of it, and it's and it isn't just one dialect. They're across the river here in Gatineau. They speak what's called Gatinese, which is different, and it's you don't know. I mean, I can pick up a lot of French, but nothing they say. Even when you say oui, say yes. Would you like some water, sir? Oui. No, they go whack, and you're like, it sounds like a duck just got stepped on. It's like, oh, not to insult my friends over there. I mean, I grew up in parts of Ohio where the dialect there is crazy too.
But here's the thing: the dialect, even though it's still English though. Like I've talked to people in like deep South, right, where it just sounds like they're talking like this, and you're like, but you do because you can hear it. Right. But it's still English. You just gotta listen. You're like, oh, is it the same way with the other French dialects?
Well, I tell the story of having that Mrs. Striking was hosting the president of France when he visited here. I was doing the armored vehicle stuff, and so the guys came by my factory from the security detail, and I have a bunch of the French Ontarians that worked for me at the time, and they started speaking to each other, and the guy from France just says, "Whoa, hold it, let's just speak English." he's like, "Oh, this hurts my ears." No, let's speak English. It was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. All right, never mind on that one. All right, let's jump back to B2M. And Alicia, yeah.
Right, we're saying it correctly.
Alicia, que bueno. So here's the thing. So I don't want to just comment here so we can know what's actually ahead. Is this the right one? Because if it is, it's decent. I mean, what was the catalyst of this explosion that you see right here? the 005 area to literally it looks like it doubled here. So it was a 2x here from its, and is this primarily because of
What's
something
this time frame?
fundamental?
When was this? Oops. When was the launch here? The first date here.
Yeah, this is
I can't see that. August 22, July,
April.
April
Yeah,
22.
let me pull. I don't think this is it. I was looking at Juniper because they just launched.
What? I don't understand this, Jupiter. How can they? Where?
What?
How can you just get airdropped all this free money? I don't get it.
What happens? And it did. And it's a lot of money going on right now. Like a lot.
Where did they get the money? Where'd they get the money to drop to people?
I don't know, but I'll put it like this, bro. Their 24-hour trading volume is in literally the billions, so it's impressive. Like it's like 1.3 billion over since yesterday and today, and if they're getting at least, I mean, most crypto places are, if they're getting 3 to 5% each one, you know what I'm saying? If not some, I bet you some, if on their own exchange, on their own system, they're probably getting 10%, right? There's a lot of money coming in. So maybe just simply they took a loan and knew that it was going to happen, and people started buying it so they can receive more airdrops. So I do not know. But one thing I am able to sit there and see that there's a lot of volume going in. A lot.
These
And
airdrops, they just catch me by surprise. I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. In fact, on a lot of the social media programs, I have the word airdrop muted, so any post or anything with the word airdrop and it gets muted because there's so many scammers. Airdrop this, airdrop that,
Yep.
and then all of a sudden I see this, and like all of a sudden it's like on the news it says Jupiter's the biggest airdrop of all time. It was like when ARB did that thing. I was like, wait, where the hell did they get all the money to do this? I realize that's market cap versus actual monies, but still.
Well, also, I mean, they also have their own private system. Like ARB had been trading and building stuff for about a year prior, right? From the end of the bull market into the bear market. So when they went live, I mean, they had a ton of money because I was talking with somebody from a call group. And he was just straight telling me, he's like, yeah, dude, like I've been messing with R for a while now. Like now they're finally launching, but there are a lot of projects on that are, within their own blockchain that isn't necessarily launched, So the ICO of the major coin is what really, really made a lot of people profitable, which makes it sticky. So if you can get a system that's already trading and you have a great case use, it's actually smart for you not to launch your coin, right?
Right.
Keep it within
And then when
the
you do
system.
launch it, there's no pressure to dump it.
Exactly, because everybody is like, well, I mean, we're built on here. We've got things going on. It's stupid, It's like BNB, right? Even though BNB didn't do that, it's as if So if it explodes, and you have your market cap now at 1 billion, and then in the next bull market it's at 20 or 30 billion. It's like, well, I bought it basically when it was worth $100,000, $200,000, and now you're sitting at. So it's smart. I think it's smarter from an actual business standpoint, And then investors see that and go, dude, let me in. Like they're salivating at the mouth, going, dude, let me in, let me in. So no matter what I'm looking at, this B2Me, which you said it is an exchange, right? B2Me is an international ecosystem of crypto solutions that have been growing since 2020 or 2014, being the leader in South Europe with the main mission to generate cryptocurrency education and adoption. Our education division boasts of being virtually the largest crypto academy, articles, Udemy formats, courses with certificates, audio. Actually, I didn't know that. In the Spanish speaking world, with this, we have 20 different crypto adoption tools and services, wherein the B2Me token is at the center of everything we do,
Huh.
including our academy. We currently count on 450,000 verified B2Me wallet users and more than 3 million alumni in B2Me Academy. So it seems smart, but the problem is as I'm looking at this, there's something fundamental with this, is that you may need to buy it, but you have more people who are selling it than buying it. So I was just wondering, what is the catalyst to see it jump recently? Do you know, Alicia? That's something that is,
Boy.
yeah, I'm wondering. But as of right now, it is above, as I pull it up right here, it is above the moving averages. So that's a good sign, right? But you've got some higher time frame SMAs here that are kind of holding it up. Give me 1 second. That are holding it up. So you can see right here that we have that 8-period moving average sitting where we bounced off of it. But if we hit this and we don't bounce off of this and we close below that 8, the next test is that 89. So, but if it does hold, I'd expect to see this thing jump back up to the 1.2 cent area here. So to create a new higher high. So this is where it's sitting. That's in a nutshell. But we're not seeing it. You know, we see a lot of people buying right here. But you can see it pumped. And we need to see some more buyers step in to see that thing continue overall. I heard they signed with BBVA Bank recently for their education program. Is what I'm assuming. Please comment and join. They launched the coin not too long ago. It's from Bit2Me Exchange. Okay.
Well, we'll put it on our radar to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go.
We'll add some crypto in the country of Spain. You know, believe it or not, of all the places in the world I've been, I've only ever just commuted through the airport in Madrid. I've never actually been anywhere in Spain, and it boggles my mind. Boggles my mind. We might have to have a show from Ibiza. I got a quick funny story about Ibiza. Obviously, since I've been to Spain, I haven't been to Ibiza, but I had a business deal with a former partner, and it was a very, very large one that ultimately went bad because of my business partner, and I should have known something was going to go wrong. The way he reacted to this, and I'll tell it to you, and you'll get it. I got notified by the Canadian government that I had won a large contract, and I was like, yes. It was like guaranteed 5 years of lots of work, you know. And if you can get a contract for 5 years of work, by the end of that 5 years is out, you've got everything running so efficiently. You're making a lot of money on it, way more than when you started and are investing in the capital. And so those things are really good. And I should have known something was wrong when he said this. He said he couldn't believe it. I called him. I said, look, we won the contract and this type of stuff. And he was in Dubai. And he's like, yes, I can't believe it. This is so good. The factory's going to be full for 5 years, blah, blah, blah. He said, let's go to Ibiza and do drugs and get prostitutes. I was like, I'm on the phone like,
what?
I'm like, okay. This would be the point in the video where the editor would zoom into my face and I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like,
absolutely.
no, that's actually, we've got a lot of money to spend and we got a big checklist of things to do. We've got, months of work to get the next 5 years under our belt. And it soon turned out he was completely incapable of being the partner in the group, and he fucked everything up. And the government ended up just... Oh, that's another long story, but he screwed everything up to the point where the government just canceled the contract. And instead of having 5 years of guaranteed work, we had about 3 months. But I should have known when he used that comment, let's go to Ibiza. So if you hear me say that I'm going to Ibiza, it generally, from my perspective, it's a story about, oh, that's not going to go well.
Yeah.
At least he says, come over. Well, one of the, if you haven't noticed, is that I've put things up about sponsorships lately. And the holy grail of sponsorships, obviously, is for someone to dump a whole bunch of money on Pedro and I, to get rich or die trying. Just like, oh, here you go, here's a ton of money. Obviously, we know that's not going to happen. So I put them in tiers.
Do not say it's not gonna, because just remember I said
not going to happen today. It may happen tomorrow. Right. You're right. More positive energy.
Yeah,
positive energy. It will happen someday. But the top tier of sponsorship I put out to people is essentially a company that wants to get branded. And so Pedro and I can go to the major trade shows and do our show from there, report, meet other people, that type of stuff. And my example is the crypto.com studio. That type of stuff. They're sponsor us to go. And so if we're able to pull that off, then obviously we would have viewer parties galore. Even if it's just iced tea and crumpets or something like that, because it's the middle of the day. But we would definitely do whatever city we're in, we would do get-togethers. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Have a good time. I think, isn't that what Humphrey does?
He does it on his own. He's not spy, but I want someone to get us under contract for 2 years to say, all right, these 5 trade shows I want you to go to, and we'll sponsor your studio, report on it, promote us, blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff. Visa's only as bad as the visitor. It's really nice and cool. Of course, everyone says it's nice, and of course, everyone that's 21 flying in from London or from Britain says it's nice too, because they come in and barf all over the place and then go go home. Anyway, I have the show schedule up here, ladies and gentlemen, as it says. Pedro and I will be off the air Friday and Monday too. You never know if Mrs. Striking has to go out with the girls or do something. I might give Pedro a call and say, hey, let's do a evening show here and there. But obviously pay attention to Twitter for that type of stuff. But other than that, we'll be back on the air Tuesday of next week.
Good times.
In fact, Alicia, you're laughing about my comment, but my parents were just in Spain, and they were and they went over to Morocco to Tangiers, took the ferry over, and then they came back up, went to Seville, Cordoba, Malaga, and the other M city down there, but I can't remember. And had a good time. And my dad, I said, how's it going? I'm on WhatsApp talking to him. How's it going? He's like, well, it'll be better when all these assholes from England go home. because of cheap airfares. They on the weekends and Fridays and stuff, it's bachelor party city down either in Ibiza or anywhere on the coast. They head down to the beach because England has no warm beaches anywhere. They have beaches, but it's 4 days of the year they can use it. So they head down to Spain and that type of stuff. And my dad's like, he's not one to put up with that. He calls them the droogies. The droogies are out. He's not wrong. No, my dad's never wrong. But I know the type. When 5 21-year-olds get on a Ryanair plane and head down to Malaga, and they don't even have a place to stay. They just go out and get hammered. Figure it out. But that's the life of living in a nice spot.
I would agree, man. Shoot. Ibiza. All right, man.
Dropped a pill in Ibiza. I'm singing. Is that Justin Bieber?
I do not know.
Although I do have to say that a lot of the music I listen to now is not like I want to jam to something like the start of the show, but the background music that plays or while I'm cooking dinner or something like that. It's all that Hotel Costes music that came out of mixes that the DJs were putting together in Ibiza in like the late 90s and early 2000s, and saw groups like Thievery Corporation, Morchiba, Portishead, and all those guys, Air, 07, and all that type of stuff. All that came out of the DJ era when Ibiza was in that phase of its of its evolution, and I'm still stuck in it. I listen to that music pretty much all the time. And for a while I was trying one of the songs as an intro to the waiting room here, because I thought it wasn't claimed for copyright. I was badly mistaken, but so I couldn't do it. But anyway, I don't know. We just had a nice little long talk about Ibiza. Now I'm gonna have to go. Mrs. Striking, we're getting on a plane. Going to Spain. Meeting Mr. Lawton, Alicia. We're going to Ibiza. Get some drugs and prostitutes.
Ooh. Yeah, we just got demonetized. I think we got demonetized 4 times this week so far. We're talking about nuclear war.
All this type of stuff. Yeah.
Definitely. That's funny.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you today. As they say, have a good weekend. Pedro, before we go, you got anything else?
No, just be safe out in this crypto jungle. Make sure that y'all are paying attention. And if you see that you're going to get dropped $1 billion and all you need to do is just send them 100,000, don't do it.
The scams are rife. I had a couple stories about scams going on. Yesterday we briefly hit on the guy from Ripple. Not doing it, but we didn't get to it. And there's always new scams coming, so those stories I'll drop aside and we'll talk about the new ones up and coming.
So we do need to start more on that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I got for you today. Pedro, thanks a lot for a good week. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully all of you will join us again from Canada to Zimbabwe and all points in between. Well, once again, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, on behalf of Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst, and me. Have a good weekend.